Hello, Chicago. Welcome to your weekend, friends, and welcome to the voice of the Chicago sports fan. This is Chicago Sports Podcast, Monsters of the Madhouse. Friends, it's dawn in training camp as the Bears head back to work. It's show and tell time for the Cubs or the Northsiders playing Texas Hold'em or Texas Hold'em, and the White Sox are with a roster straight out of Major League 3 back to the minors around the clock as they seek to avoid the worst season in Major League Baseball history. Friends, we will cover all of this and more tonight on a big-time sports night in Chicago on Monsters of the Madhouse. Thank you so much for joining us, friends. I'm Cleet Soup Campbell from Iowa, along with DJ Dustin Jones and the president and founder of Chicago Sports Podcast. He is the Punky LT, Brandon Trax Hyatt. Fellas, how we doing tonight?
Couldn't be better, man. Only thing I was wishing I was back in Chicago is I'd be humid there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice
Actually,
the last couple days.
Yeah, it's been really nice today. You like it, Eric? It's around mid-70s, got a nice breeze going, except for when you're in a furnace at a steel mill like me. But outside of that, once you get out of the furnace, cool as a cucumber, baby.
I don't know if you guys heard, but in California, it's like that here pretty much every day.
Yeah. You were always the smart one, Eric. Wait, that you got out a lot faster than we did. Right. Friends, as you can guess, tonight our guest is the record-setting former Bears quarterback and a man who engineered an inspiring and courageous personal comeback from adversity. In 1991, as you might remember, he led the Detroit Lions to the first playoff win in 34 years. And in 1995, he wrote the Chicago Bears single-season passing records for yards and touchdowns. It's a mark that he still owns today, but we will ask him if he might be on the clock for that record. He is the author of the best-selling autobiography, The Ultimate Comeback, Surviving a Suicide Attempt, Conquering Depression, and Living with a Purpose. It's a must-read for anyone going through hard times, friends, and it is available right now at Amazon and bookstores as throughout Chicagoland. He's the ultimate comeback QB. He is the unstoppable Erik Kramer, and he is on Chicago Sports Podcast. Erik, thank you so much for joining us. How you doing, friend?
I'm doing great, man. Just hanging out. Another great day here in California.
Yeah.
And not a lot of other than what's going on over in England with the Open. Not a lot of sports going on today, which is kind of unusual.
Yeah, a rare quiet night here in Chicago, as you said. Basically, not much going on except all of us anxiously awaiting the first official practice of Bears training camp 2024. Brandon Trax Hyatt, I know you're ready, and I know you're ready to dive into some questions with the great Erik Kramer.
Oh, man, I can't wait. I'm elated. I mean, outside of blocking for one of my all-time favorite quarterbacks, now I get to ask him questions. Are you kidding me? Let's go. So, exactly. Yeah, man. So, injuries are a fact in the life of the NFL, even at my low level of college football and semi-pro as a left tackle. I had some of those, with the other, guys on the line and whatnot, protecting, awesome quarterbacks like you. As you know, it's a sure thing, just like death and taxes, right? It's inevitable. It's going to happen. Is this a possible bad omen for the Bears' offensive line depth, or just a bad break for Kieran?
Now, refresh me on what you're talking about exactly. What happened?
We're talking about Kieran for the offensive line, where he's just right now they're talking about like he's taking a break or whatever. And
this is the guy they drafted at Yale.
Yeah, right? We drafted him in the third round. I got a little bit ahead of myself, but yeah, that's I had a question about him because former offensive lineman and whatnot, and you being in the NFL and all that. Just a question of if you think that he'll be all right. They're kind of like weaning him, leaning him back in, gradually type thing, or what,
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've heard that he. Am I correct in saying didn't he miss much of this season?
Yes.
With that same injury? All right.
Yeah.
So I think this is kind of I don't think this is what's a portent of things to come with him.
Right.
I think this is an injury he'll get through and get over. And everything I've heard is what an amazing player, person, athlete he is for the position he plays, which could be either tackle or guard. And so I think, I don't think there's going to be any issue. Just the fact that he's kind of missed physically much of the off season and is now starting out maybe not at 100% just yet, to me doesn't say that he's going to be that way forever.
No, yeah, and also along with that, it's a beautiful time of year, and right now, rightfully so, because how when we first get started, everything is fresh, it's 0-0. You're working on yourself, you're sharpening your iron, and the other guys around you are sharpening their iron, and trying to just get as good as you can at your craft before it's actually go time and where it matters. You can smell the football in the air. Does NFL training camp season take you back to your playing days when you played?
Oh, sure. Yeah, this is a great time of year because, as you said, no one's lost a game yet, and no one's really gotten injured from football, and so everybody's optimistic. You've gotten a lot of work done in the off season to get to this point. Everybody, at least the veterans, probably feel comfortable with what they're doing, and so I think it's a great time of year, as you mentioned, because everything's kind of out there in front of you.
Yeah, and along with that, Erik, Bears rookies are now in the camp and learning the NFL School of Hard Knocks, literally with cameras rolling, all that pressure, all the light, the intensity, and all that from the NFL Network and an HBO sports show. What's the first week of camp like for rookies without those cameras and stuff on, brother?
I was never a part of Hard Knocks or anything else camera-wise when it came to training camp. I do remember how overwhelming and behind. I always felt behind of everything. I never felt caught up from the day I got there. What I'm referring to is my undrafted free agent days with the New Orleans Saints. And so I think that it would be hard, really, especially if you're going in and you already feel that you're not up to speed. Then there's Hard Knocks on top of it. That could be an issue for some, and hopefully, that's just. It will be interesting. I got to tell you, because I'll be watching too, and it'll be an interesting training camp. Although, now that I'm thinking about it, training camp really isn't what training camp was. At least when I played, we had 6 or 7 weeks of it. It was 2-a-days. It was 2 practices, fully padded every day, contact every day, and things you don't ever come across anymore. I don't know if that's good or not, but I think what I feel the downside of all of this, meaning the non-contact and the non-2-a-days, is that you're 4 or 5 games into the season before you really know what your team looks like. And you've probably lost a couple games that you shouldn't have lost simply because you weren't ready.
Yeah, and the Bears got a rookie quarterback going into this season that they're planning on starting. And, a rookie wide receiver that's going to play a big role in their offense. So those reps are going to be important. And, and you were talking about it with these rookies. How hard is it to not – you were saying yourself, you were behind the 8 ball, felt like you never got caught up. How hard is it to not get in that spot? And how much harder do you have to work to stay in front of everything, like from a rookie's perspective?
I think a lot of it depends on the coaching staff, meaning in this case, you got a first-year quarterback, first-year receiver, a lot of, drafted guys that are looking to make a contribution. You had a lot of guys play last year as first-year players. And so I think we've seen that it takes a little time. It typically will take at least, if not more than a half a season before you quit looking like this is your first year. And so, it's looking at the schedule the Bears have, though. It's that first half of the year. If there is such a thing as an easy schedule, their first half of the year is easy.
I agree.
And so they should be able to rack up enough wins where by the time the second half of the season hits, which is a gauntlet, as long as they're relatively healthy, then I think they have a really good shot at sustaining whatever success they start with in the beginning of the year and carrying that throughout.
Eric, the Bears finally have Caleb Williams signed on the dotted line after a rookie contract ordeal that had more drama than a season of Friday Night Lights or All-American. Did Caleb playing hardball with the Bears, particularly to try to get a no franchise tag clause written into his deal, Eric, something that no NFL rookie has ever gotten? Is this more proof that this quarterback, this young man, is his own man, and like Frank Sinatra before him, Eric, he's going to do things his way?
Well, you don't know what they're going to say until you ask.
Yeah.
And so all they can say is no. And in this case, it was flat no. And I don't think there was probably all that much drama about it. It was more the people outside of Ryan Poles and Caleb and or his agent. There probably wasn't a whole lot of drama about it. Because the Bears, as conservative as that franchise is, as they all really are, nobody's going out on that limb. Nobody.
Right. Yeah.
No.
Eric, what do you think the X factor that determines chemistry and strong game production between a quarterback and receiver is, and what does Caleb need to develop and to become a superb big play and touchdown report with his elite collection of receivers? What's that going to take?
I really just think it's a certain level of performance that you can establish, work up to get, and then maintain that. It's really nothing more complex. It's just in terms of Caleb Williams, he's worked on his skills and his development and his knowledge of what to do and how to do it. And now it's just really refining that and being consistent with it and trying not to do too much, really. My thought as soon as they drafted him, knowing they were probably going to make him the starter, was, man, if he specifically can get through the first maybe, say, 5 or 6 games and play average with the defense they've got, the potential running game they've got, this is a type of offensive weaponry where 5-yard throws could become 25-yard gains. And you break one tackle and, a simple curl route goes the distance. That doesn't come, though, until you're executing at a very high level. And really all it takes is for one guy to slip and fall down on defense. If you're in an all-out blitz and the wrong guy slips and falls down, that's a touchdown. And it's that sort of thing that helps young players, any player really, build confidence. And that would be my answer, is that the chemistry really just develops with consistent play out of everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And you're talking about, how they're bringing him in to be the starter. They have this whole plan laid out to get him integrated into the NFL and make sure he's that guy for them. And you're saying those first few weeks, that's going to really determine it once he gets those reps. And that's all fair enough. But from your perspective, how are you going to determine whether this season, and it's hard to say success or failure, but like whether the season is a successful season for Caleb Williams? Is it playoffs? Is it, just his individual performance? Like how are you going to judge that being a
I think it's simply his individual performance. As you're asking me this question, I'm starting to think back to who you mentioned before, that you didn't, but Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky, 16 out of 16 games was falling backward while throwing the ball. The team still won. Mm-hmm. He just sucked. And Justin Fields went from his first year playing, especially toward the end, wow, this was like, he's really got it together. No, he didn't, because he showed up the next year against San Francisco and was the worst quarterback in the NFL if it weren't for the guy on the other side of the field. And so the way I would evaluate Caleb Williams isn't necessarily on team wins or losses. It would be, how good are you at doing what you're supposed to do? Because the same way you would evaluate everybody else. And then as you all come together, and if this is as good a coaching staff as I think it is, then if everybody just does their job consistently, the wins are going to stack up. And you're going to be in a position to win games at critical points in the second half. And it's really just a matter of doing your job. And so that's how wins and losses happen. It's not just, oh, okay, we're 13-3. Well, Caleb Williams must be great. That says nothing about Caleb Williams.
Didn't say it's Trubisky. Yeah, like you were saying.
Right. Hey, Erik, speaking of which, do you think that this kid is a real deal Holyfield, and is he good enough to be the Bears starting quarterback for the next 10 plus years for the unforeseeable future?
I would hope so. Yeah. I think that in college, I would say that he would at times make the game too difficult. Wow. You might remember a few years ago where Patrick Mahomes, this is after a Super Bowl or two, decided that the first open guy, I'm not going to throw to him anymore. I'm going to look for something on the backside which doesn't exist. And then by the time I do all those things, the rush is on me and I've got to scramble out and either throw an interception or throw it away or get sacked. And once he started getting back to playing just simple football, then all of a sudden he looked like that guy again. And I think that's what we're going to see out of Caleb Williams eventually, maybe not right away. And it also depends on, the teams that they're playing and the sophistication or lack thereof of the defensive coverages and the pressure he may or may not be under with the defensive line, the pass rush. So, a lot of that is really kind of situational. Hopefully he has a chance to make some successful plays, win a few games early, and gain that confidence that can carry him forward. But yes, to answer your question, Brandon, I think he is that guy who will be finally the guy that Chicago has been looking for.
I'd like to step in really quick and speak for Cliff. He's a longtime listener, viewer. He's got great questions. He's got one for you, Erik. He says, Erik, what do you think of guard Nate Davis skipping OTAs after the terrible year he had with his mom dying and injury? Should he be practicing as soon as possible?
Yeah, I mean, those are tough situations. When you lose significant people that are close to you, I don't know the relationship that he had with his mom, but that can derail a lot of people. And then if you're injured on top of it and you're coming to a new team and there's the internal and external pressure of you've got to do well. I really can't speak for, should he or shouldn't he be playing right now, but it would be great because the guy that we talked about right off the jump with the guy that they drafted in this year in the third round, if Nate Davis messes around too much, he could be losing that job.
Right. Yeah, right. For sure. Especially with that price tag at $10 million. Somebody want to jump in and ask him this question for Amass?
All right, Erik, as you had, and also a healthy O-line when you got your 38-38, do you feel Caleb also needs a healthy season in O-line to meet and beat that record of yours?
Yeah, I think it certainly helps, but what would help Caleb the best is what I talked about earlier. I mean, yes, would it help if his offensive line stayed healthy and played great all year? Of course it would. But you're going to help your offensive line by not holding on to the ball too long, by making quick reads and decisions and getting the ball out of your hand, not looking to make big plays all the time. They'll come. Trust me, they will. Just make the right read at the right time, consistently move defenders to making a clear open throw. I mean, those are just the things that over time that he'll get better at doing. And I'm sure he's better today than he was the last day of his college year.
Yeah. Hey, you got anything to add to that, Cleet? I know you did a little deep dive and had some nuggets of the day for Erik.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Brandon. Yeah, and it's a point that our good friend Cliff brings up. Eric, you have been holding the Bears single season passing and TD records for almost 30 years now. And in that time, I would say about 30 quarterbacks have come and gone and failed to put up the record-setting numbers that you did. As you watch Caleb Williams, who we all think might have the best chance of any Bears quarterback, maybe since Jay Cutler, of breaking your records, from your perspective, do you want to see those records fall? I mean, it's you've never been a guy who's been driven by those, but are you like, okay, it's time to put these to bed. Let's get a 4,000-yard passer in a season, and let's get a 50 touchdown guy.
First of all, I agree with you. I don't give a rat's ass about these records. I would much rather see Caleb Williams and the Bears as a team be successful, win games, break records. More importantly, if they're hosting a Lombardi Trophy or two over these next 10 years, that would be ideal. And I think really that's what everybody wants to see. It's really your team success is what everybody cares about. The records are sort of a byproduct of how well you're actually doing. And, we all know this team just over the last 2 off seasons has gotten so much better, at least on paper.
Yep.
And they've added depth they haven't had in a decade or more. And so I'm as excited as anybody to watch what's going on. As I've said beginning last year, that the Bears this year, I think, are last year's Detroit Lions.
Whoa.
From the way this team is, the way the McCaskey family, I think, intelligently has handed off the ball to Ryan Poles, to Matt Eberflus, and the scouts, and the way this team has been built, it's damn near a blueprint to what Detroit did and has been doing. And there's no coincidence, these two teams are now on the rise. And so I don't expect anything to stand in the way of that. You've got a lot of smart people that are pulling the strings and making decisions, and they've acquired a lot of good, young, impactful type players that know they're in the midst of something very special starting to happen.
Yeah, you're talking about.
Let me jump to something here, and I know I'm probably going on a little bit, maybe too much, but I remember watching something not too long ago. It was Dwight Clark, the former 49ers receiver, talking about their second season under Bill Walsh. They had gone 2-14 in 1979. They went 3-0. Actually, let me just say this: in the 2-14 season, I think it was the last game or next to last game when they won their second game, and they carried Bill Walsh off the field. And the rest of the world might have been thinking, these guys are, knuckleheads. But Dwight Clark was saying, hey, we might not win a lot of games, but you could tell things were turning around. And it wasn't the next year, but the year after they won their first Super Bowl.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing, man. I want to know, you said that we are close to like what Detroit had last year. So tell me who's going to channel their inner Detroit head coach and be the first to say that we're going to bite their kneecaps off or something like that. Who do you think is going to be more likely to do that? Because when they did that, even though Detroit was oppo, dude, I was like, let's go. This is awesome, man. I loved it. It's great.
Well, I think there's so many ways to lead, right?
Yeah.
And be the guy that's out in front leading the herd. Dan Campbell has his way. Coach Eberflus is never going to, those words will never come out of his mouth. But at the same time, he's a very cerebral, he knows what he wants, he knows how to teach, and he knows he's very consistent. Think about all of the bullets that were flying at him last year.
Right.
and all the speculation that came with, hey, he stinks. We need to get rid of this head coach. Well, did Ryan Poles have that thought? No, because Ryan Poles looked at the whole big picture, and I think that's there's I spoke a minute ago about Bill Walsh. I played for a coach in college only 1 year, my senior year at NC State, Dick Sheridan, who's now passed away also. And I will guarantee you he never cussed in his life. I never heard him speak above a whisper, ever. And yet the year before he came, we were 3-8. The 2 years prior to that, they were also 3-8. And we had we knew we were going to be good in the spring before the season began.
Wow.
And that's what I think, and Coach Sheridan never talked about biting anybody's kneecaps off. But you just knew that we were being coached as good or better than anybody in the country. And so I like your, who's going to be that guy. I think the Bears have that guy.
Yeah.
I think everybody wants to play, like, you recognize talent, which talent can come in a lot of different shapes. It can come as physical, it can come as mental, it could come as the way you teach and think is far advanced than anybody else we're playing. And I think that's what the Bears do have, not only from Coach Eberflus, but from that whole administration.
Yeah, and just a little backstory about me. Like, when I was in the military, I come from California, Central Valley. We've talked, near Fresno area, and I came with like the ridiculous attitude, like I was not even mentally prepared or equipped for boot camp, right? But there was two guys. They were like the Buddy Ryan and Ditka of freaking the drill sergeant. And then one was really quiet. Let me just say that my push-ups were looking really good when those two guys had their eyeballs on me. The other quiet guy, not so much. I took breaks on that guy. So everybody, you're right. Everybody listens and has different conduit piping into them in different ways and respond differently. But me, you got to yell at me, Eric, in order for me to listen, because I got a hard, thick skull, So,
well, I think, and I'll just say, I'll end it with this by saying that the really good coaches and players, the players themselves are highly motivated to do the best they can regardless.
Right.
And if you have a good coaching staff, not just a head coach, but a good coaching staff, then, and you combine that with highly motivated and talented people, then chances are you're going to find your way into the winner's circle more often than not.
I like that. That's good. Yeah.
Absolutely. True words, ladies and gentlemen, from one of the all-time great Bears quarterbacks, Erik Kramer, our good friend. Erik, it's always great talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. And hey, we hope you're a prophet. We hope that the 2024 Chicago Bears are the 23 Detroit Lions 2.0.
I know betting is sort of a popular thing now, especially all these sports, all the leagues now are even partners in betting. But I am still not a betting man. But if I was, I would lay a lot of money down this year that the Bears are going to be right up at the top.
Let's go. Hey, speaking of the top, Erik, what do you got yourself into lately? You got any projects, anything going on? Can you tell us really quick in closing about your book or anything? We're just interested in where Erik's at, bro.
Yeah, well, I've got two things going on that are really captivating me at the moment. One is a passing camp for high school kids. It's going to be a video series, and so I've located a lot of former players that live where I do, and so we're basically going to be coaching for high school kids in their off season, a bunch of kind of basic sound fundamental drills, and we're going to use the West Coast passing game to do it. And then defensively, we're going to be running what every other high school or tries to run, which is at least coverage-wise, in zone cover 2, 3, and 4, and then in man cover 1 and 2. And so it's going to be a competitive environment, but that's going to lead. The reason someone's going to sponsor that thing is because that video series is going to be the basis for like weekend-long mini camps for schools that would never have an opportunity to participate in something like that. And so the fact that it'll be on video, there'll be a video playbook, there'll be something long before there's a camp. And so people like me will actually be supervising those coaches. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And then I've also got a mental health touchdown program that we've been working on now for about 4 years. But the other 2 people are kind of been part-time in it. And so now I've gotten together with somebody who's really helping me to find the research that's out there for the curriculum that most likely exists. And if it doesn't, I'm going to pay someone to make it exist. And then we're going to start working it with an after-school program, both in elementary and a middle school, along with those kids' families. And so working with kids on how to build their own home team and sort of, free support and cultivate that over the years. And so, but involve their entire families with it as well. So that's, mental health, as we all know, is a very important thing to address. And this is a proactive approach, so that before there ever is such a thing as, challenges and bullying and that sort of thing, that you want to identify who are the people you want to align yourselves with at a young age. And then, be able to sustain that throughout your young life into adulthood.
That's amazing.
Man, I love it.
Very important work, Erik, making a difference as always off the field for other people. Friends, don't forget one of the most inspiring sports books you can ever read, The Ultimate Comeback. Erik's autobiography is available at Amazon.com. Erik, that's so wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. We hope you have a great weekend there in sunny California. Enjoy the Open.
My pleasure. Okay, I appreciate that. I'll do my best, Clete, and hopefully the weather cooperates. Wish it will.
Erik is so much smarter than us, ladies and gentlemen. Living the dream in California. Erik Kramer, always great. The record-setting Bears quarterback joining us here on Chicago Sports Podcast. Monsters of the Madhouse, friends. DJ Brendan Trex Hyatt, Punky OT, the founder, president. How good is Erik? And boy, you think about this guy. He's forgotten more about playing quarterback in the NFL than most people will know. He sees something in Caleb Williams, from his vantage point. And DJ and Brandon, before we go into a special presentation on Caleb, what are your thoughts? Do you like what you hear from Erik? It seems like, he says this rookie season will be judged on what he does individually, rather than can he get the Bears to the playoffs. Is that the way that us fans look at it too, that he's got to become an NFL quarterback first before he can take us to that next level?
Well, you know what? I think Bearski Film, Paul actually blessed us with some footage. So let's take a look at that before we
look. Absolutely. For Bearski Film right here, folks. From training camp, from courtesy of Bearski Film, our good friend Paul putting that to us together for us. First official practice of training camp with everybody in the house, fellas, is tomorrow morning. Let's go. Looking at that, DJ, does that make you even more confident that Caleb Williams is locked and loaded and ready to do the unthinkable, take the Bears to the playoffs in his rookie season?
That video got me hyped.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've had a lot of confidence. To answer your question, Clete, I've had a lot of confidence in Caleb since before the Bears drafted him. You know, I feel like it was kind of fait accompli that he would be the #1 pick, and because he's a very talented quarterback, one that we've never seen here in Chicago. I am on the 4,000-yard bandwagon. I'm feeling like we're going to see that for the first time in Bears history with this quarterback. Now, what Erik Kramer was saying was like he was tempering it a little bit. You know, he's looking at it because he's been through it. You know, he's been in that position, being a rookie quarterback going into the NFL. There's a lot that goes into that. So we as fans tend to lose sight of those things. So like, I understand the reason for the tempering it a little bit, but at the same time, it's like we've never seen a guy like this before. So I want to get excited as a Bears fan and really get behind him. I expect big things from him this year. I do expect a playoff appearance for the Bears, and I expect Caleb to be a big part of that, especially in the second half of the season.
Yeah, you know, and Trex, DJ brings up a good point. You know, Erik was talking about it. You know, we're asking for the world, but it seems like this is the guy who can do it. If there's anybody who can do it, it's this guy here. But Trex, let's talk about that, because you know, go back to Erik's career. You know, he was still a fourth, fifth year quarterback by the time he was able to get the Lions to the playoffs, you know, winning the NFC Central back in '91. What's going to be, I mean, what should we realistically expect from Caleb Williams in terms of what he will be able to do over the first, let's say, 8 weeks of this season, Trex?
I think he's just going to make everybody great around him. He's going to be really good at, he's a really good communicator. He appears to be a really good leader. And I think he's going to be, you know, basically just a lot of attention to detail, making his craft, you know, as good as he possibly can every day, try to find a way to just be better and bring out the best in people around him. I don't think that he's going to be a homer focusing on playoffs or anything like that. He knows that it's going to come if he focuses on everybody around him. And like Erik said, he doesn't focus on numbers. He doesn't focus on the playoffs or the numbers or anything like that. It will come. So, and I think that is what makes guys like Erik, that is what makes guys like Caleb great. And I really feel like he is going to be the blessing that we need in Chicago, especially with the Bears.
You know, DJ, you know, Trex talks about it. You know, Caleb Mania is running wild, as we saw in that terrific Bearski film there. But we all know his production will come down to how well he's protected more than anything else. Where does your confidence in the Bears offensive line's ability to protect Caleb week in and week out stand as they hit training camp right now, Dustin?
Honestly, it's my faith in this offensive line is a lot higher than it has been in past years. I really put a lot into the fact that they're bringing back 4 starters from last year into the starting offensive line, and then the guys that they brought in for the center position between Bates and Shelton, they're veteran guys that are going to know how to plug in and fit in with that group that's already, you know, got a lot of reps together. So that's a huge deal for offensive lines in the NFL or in any level of football, where you get a couple years playing together. You really start to find your groove together, and that's going to be important. And then also the factor of Caleb Williams and how he's going to impact the offensive line in terms of quicker reads, getting the ball out quicker, scrambling when he needs to, but not scrambling with no, you know, Justin a lot of times scrambled with no direction. It was to run. From my perspective, he wasn't looking to make a play down the field with the ball. Caleb is going to do that a lot more. So the offensive line I feel like they're going to do the job that they need to do. Maybe, middle of the pack, 12 to 15 area in terms of ranking. And that's going to be enough with a quarterback as talented as Caleb to win some football games.
Yeah, I agree with you, DJ. I don't think we're going to be seeing him holding the ball for 3 to 4 seconds
No,
before he
sir.
decides what to do with it. Hey, Trax, you're a long-time offensive lineman. How does Bears offensive line coach and run game coordinator Chris Morgan, how does he need to retune this offensive line, Trax, to fit Caleb's playmaking strength and improv tendencies that DJ was talking about?
Well, I think the key to a really good offensive line is continuity and communication, and you really need to know who your brother is. Who's got his six and who's to the left and to the right of you every week. If you can keep that, and there's not a lot of line changes, there will be line changes because when we're sucking in air, when we're getting wore out, especially towards the third and fourth quarter, third down conversions, whatnot. And even if, Caleb's chipping away and we're first down by like the third series of first downs, especially if you get into like the third and, fourth and, let's go, now you're extended out and you're going to see like big chunks of time. Those boys need to be refreshed. And that's one thing that I like on the other side of the ball that Eberflus has already said is like, you're going to see a lot of people coming in and out. You're going to see a lot of line changes and all that stuff. But meaning day to day, staying in on the line, 1 through 5, all the way over, you need to see that guy there every time. Familiarity and communication, working together. I mean, it's almost one of the most important teams within a team that cohesion, that he's got me. I might have a little bit of weakness on the inside or outside. And if just hypothetically speaking, if DJ is there with me and he's my guard, then I know that he's going to cover that up because he's quick to fire out of the middle. And the center can get a little help too. If I am doing well over here and he reads and identifies that, then he can actually help not only the left tackle and the center being that left guard, or vice versa, being, the right guard helping out the right tackle or the center. So even when things break down, as long as you stay together and you know where each other's at, a lot of that can cover the multitude of errors and sins. And Caleb's going to help that out too. He's going to identify that. He's going to see it early and often. He's going to see, okay, this guy's letting it through. I got to do something with it. I ain't going to be a dummy and just look like I got a deer in the headlights. I got to do something now. And that is where he's going to actually make that offensive line better, because to the naked eye, you're going to see that it looked like the line did their job. No. Sometimes they're going to do the best that they can, and Caleb is going to help them look better. But they got to keep him, give him a clean pocket, and give him that time to outside of structure. Sometimes he's got to come out of structure, and then he's got to fall back into structure, back into the pocket, all the while looking down the field, making his reads, and then hitting his teammate for some good chunk yards after catch and stuff. I think that is I went all the way around the block to answer your question when I could have just went across the street. But you know how I am with this offensive line stuff, man. It gets me going, Sorry, Cleet.
No problem.
Trax, did you hear that Tevin Jenkins said that the whole offensive line is going to be calling out protection, not just the center on this Bears offensive line?
Now, I like that as long as
it's weird, but it's
as long as it works.
It's a lot of miles.
I think he needs to temper his expectations, because that doesn't necessarily mean like you're going to hear like 5 big uglies call Omaha, and some of them might not be that. So after a while, you're going to be like, yo, DJ, no more Omahas, bro. Like
that's kind of what I was asking though. Like, do you feel like
I think it'll work.
Guy to be making that?
I think it'll work, but obviously if you have your Olin in the middle or Tevin, everybody's going to be like, we're kind of waiting on his Omaha before I yell mine, type thing. I think that's what's going to happen. That's what I don't know anything. I don't have any inside, but that's what I would do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we always had like a center for me personally. We had a center that was it, and the guard would be the conduit. The left guard would be the conduit. Be like the left tackle. What do you say? What do you say? And then same with the right. No, what do you say? Okay, we're good. Let's go. So yeah. I think there's going to be some of that. So
yeah. Yeah, good points, guys. DJ, you were talking about on paper, this is the Bears, maybe their best offensive line. I think on paper, maybe you can maybe make a case in a decade, but everything becomes real tomorrow. Guys are going to be graded on their ability to protect Caleb Williams starting tomorrow. As you look at the starting five, Braxton, Tevin, Coleman, Nate, Darnell, currently top the 2 deep. Which of these guys has to step up the most in training camp with his and show he has the ability to protect Caleb Williams with everything that he's going to be doing, week in and week out once the season starts?
Well, given what we were just talking about, I got to say Coleman Shelton.
Yeah.
Because I had mixed emotions reading about what Tevin was saying, because it's like, do you want every single guy along the offensive line communicating at the same time? Like, how does that even work? You need a center that's the leader of that group, that has the mental and physical abilities to, identify the blitzes, identify what's in front of them in terms of alignment, and call that out to the quarterback and the rest of the guys. So, I mean, and it's been back and forth between Bates and Shelton in terms of who's going to be that starting center for this team. That's the biggest question mark along this offensive line. Again, it's the one spot. What, were you going to say something?
No, I completely agree.
Okay. Yeah, it's the one spot, right, that it's not coming back from last year in terms of starters, and it's just the spot we've been a turnstile at as the Chicago Bears franchise for some years now. So I think it's got to be Shelton, and if it's not Shelton, it's Bates. One of those two guys. We need a really solid starting center this year, and Shelton is a guy that had a rocky season last year, and he's got a lot to prove. So we'll see, man. But I think it's got to be that center position.
Yeah. Point, TJ. Tracks. Who wins that battle? Who will be the starting center for the Bears? Tracks when we open up against Tennessee in September.
I'll be honest with you. Even as an offensive lineman, I don't know as much of y'all, and I don't know how so many people are so interested in paying attention to offensive linemen. At one point, they didn't know any of our names. We just went by numbers, and you do this, you do that, blah, 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 bench, nobody paid attention to us, till we saw that our quarterbacks were not staying upright and remaining healthy and putting us in a good position, And back in the day, we could actually mask a lot of that with great defense and running, and you could do still some of that, but you got to have a passing game, right? In today's NFL, it's got to be, So I think I can't say that right now. I do not know. All I know is it's going to be greater than the sum of its parts, because I think it's going to take everybody to fire away and look good. And some days you might have, Shelton in there looking good, and it could be Tevin. It could be Tevin the whole way, covering his inequities that he messed up with in the Rams. And if he goes to another program, a different team, he might be exposed and look the way he's supposed to. So there's going to be a lot of that. I really have to do like a deep dive, a study, and look and see what's really going on. And then I'll be able to pick up some of those, things that tendencies where they're lacking. But I really think that's why we need Nate. We need Nate. We need Tevin, and we need the two bookends, and we need them to succeed and do well. And we need DJ. We've got to have Karan come in at some point and help out at that left tackle and guard. He can swing both. So that's huge. That's crucial. That's important. We need that to happen. We can't just have guys where if a guy like Tevin is out, we're screwed. We got to be more than just one line change, and that's it. Cleat, about hockey. You got to be deep, bro. You can't just settle with the first line, right, brother?
Yeah, and the next man's up got to be ready to make plays on that very first play. Hey, DJ, like Trex is saying about it, we all know the reality of injuries for offensive linemen, but are the football gods, DJ, finally going to smile down at Tevin Jenkins this year and give him an injury-free season? Because I think that's the big X factor for me is, can we keep Tevin on the field healthy at full strength for a 17-game season, plus a bye week?
No, yeah, I agree 100%. That's the biggest X factor for this Bears offensive line. Tevin Jenkins is the best offensive lineman on that starting five, as far as I'm concerned, when he's healthy. Now, hopefully Darnell Wright steps up this year, and that could potentially change. But Tevin Jenkins has potential to be a top 5 guard in this league if he's healthy. But that's such a big if, Cleat. It's such a big if.
Yeah.
He can't stay healthy. He's in a contract year. He's got to prove it. He's got to prove it this year for himself, just for his own financial stability and for his career going forward. So I think all of the factors are lining up for him to do everything and within his power to stay healthy this year. So I think that plays on the Bears' side, right? Because he needs to stay healthy to get his money.
Yeah, absolutely. Health would be possibly a $30 million, I would think, guaranteed situation for Tevin. I mean, if he's got to stay healthy or he doesn't get that contract, like you said, you get one shot at these. You get one shot at a free agent contract, in the NFL today at the offensive line when you're this young, when you're this vibrant. And like you said, DJ, we don't know if he can be an all-pro lineman because he just hasn't been healthy. So hopefully good things for him and good health for him this year. Okay, guys, moving on really quickly, if we could. This is something we're all going to be talking about as we rock and roll into camp next week. The Sweatman 2.0. This segment of Chicago Sports Podcast is brought to you by Bridges Scoreboard, Northwest Indiana's Chicago sports headquarters with the Hall of Fame menu. Now, Trax, Montez Sweat is ready to make quarterbacks sweat more than CNC and Music Factory as he preps for his sophomore Bears season. The Sweatman returns to Lake Forest as the undisputed man in the Bears pass rush, the Roman Reigns of a unit that will look for him to set the tone and own the sack day and be the one, as we know. Now, Trax, I want to get your thoughts as a lineman. With the Washington Commanders, Sweat was just a cog in a disorganized pass rush machine. He told Sports Mockery this week, Trax, that the Commanders' 4-3 scheme called for him to read and think more and also react to what his teammates were doing rather than just make plays. Montez prefers the Bears system, Trax, because his only concern on most snaps is getting to the quarterback, and coaches are trying to divert opposing offenses and blocking attention from him. From your perspective, Trax, as a longtime offensive lineman, is the Bears' willingness to just let Montez ball the secret to his breakout success in Chicago that he never really was able to realize in Washington?
The worst thing you could do is make a lineman think. I was asked, and they will trick you. The coaches will trick you. They'll ask for your opinion, and then once you give it, they smack you upside the head. And it doesn't matter what you think. Just get to work and push. Hey, dude, it's right. You get in your head. It's like anything else with like a quarterback or a pitcher. You guys know they cannot think. They just have to. Repetitions lead to retention. Push the sled, fire up out of practice, out of form. Then when it comes time, there's a little bit of thinking. You got to identify who's coming in and who's not, stuff like that. But that's not rocket science. You know, and you go. And for them to tell a guy like Sweat to think, I wouldn't have done that. I love the fact that they're just letting this guy be who he is, let the good juice flow and just get after it. I love that. It's good.
Yeah, great stuff indeed. Hey, DJ, how much better will Montez be in 2024? And what needs to happen, Dustin, for him to be an even more effective pass rusher than last year when he took down quarterbacks for 12.5 sacks?
I would expect him to be more effective in this system that he excelled in, at the end of the second half of last year. I would expect him to be more effective this year. And it's hard to quantify that with sacks because if he's getting the pressures on the quarterback, then that's going to lead to sacks for other people or interceptions for, pass breakups. It's going to lead to a negative play for the offense they're playing against. So we'll see it on the field, but I would just say the thing that needs to happen for that to be like the case, the biggest thing is Gervon Dexter steps up and starts getting that push on the interior. Because if you get that quarterback out of that pocket, that's when they're going to run right into Montez Sweat. you know, so like he needs some help. He needs another guy to push the pocket with him to really kind of become this tandem where, you know, if Dexter's getting it up the middle and he's beating his guy around the edge, that quarterback is done for. That's what needs to happen this year.
You know, Trax, I think Dustin hit the nail on the head. You know, he's good. We're going to be effective only if we can get Montez help. And, you know, Giovanni's that guy in house. You know, the big story that you've been talking with the boys, you know, throughout the week, and we're going to be talking about through camp is, does this pass rush still need more help? I mean, do we still need to use that $12 million left of cap space we have and get one more pass rusher to truly be an elite, you know, unit week in and week out? Are you set to go, Trax, with Javon and Montez? You know that interior, exterior tandem that DJ's talking about, or do we have to go get one more guy?
You know, I up until, and I don't think it's as deep as we look it to be, as it appears to be to us, but with Sweat giving his endorsement to Booker, I wasn't sold on Booker. DJ was, and I was just like, you know, DJ, he's earned my respect. I've earned his respect. And with you, Cleet, we all just, the more we're around, repetition leading to retention. We all, you know, that's the same way with these guys. So, and here's the thing. I already know that who we had was good. A little bit ago, you were just talking about how great Sweat was, you know, and how well he performed with the Bears over, you know, Washington. But we didn't really get into the discussion about how great he made our defense, and possibly how great our defense in the scheme and being able to be himself, how great he was for our defense and how great our defense was for him, because he was the same dude over there. So our defense and our scheme and our coaching, this is his love language. Without us, I don't think Sweat would be as productive as he is. I'm just going out. I don't know, but that's what I'm feeling.
I completely agree with you. I mean, we become the number one run defense in the NFL once he gets here and gets into system.
And I think one last thing with this, I think because we're bringing in what we have extra and in and out. We're going to keep him fresh instead of wore out. And I know a lot of guys want that extra guy over there, you know, the bookend, whatever. And I, from what I read on Twitter or X app, it appears that they're not shutting it, but it doesn't seem like they're swinging it wide open for business. So they're not totally against it. Obviously, if somebody falls into their lap, they're definitely going to take a hard look at it. But I really feel like they're going to use who's already in the building, you know.
Yeah, good point there, Trax. Hey, TJ, let's go with camp opening tomorrow. Let's go to the defense. This obviously, without question, is the most competitive Bears defense in terms of guys trying to earn their spots and keep their spots in the starting lineup, DJ, that we've had over the last 5 years. As we open up camp, which defensive player on this unit has the most to prove and has to make the biggest statement with his effort and performance in practice day in and day out?
That's a hell of a question. I'm thinking on that a little bit. I think Tremaine Edmonds.
Yeah,
like, right, like he had a rocky season to start off last year. He was hurt, you know. He was trying to come back from injury and trying to understand the new system, and he's got to be the leader of that defense.
Yeah,
they need him to cover a lot of ground in that cover two. They need him to communicate a lot and understand the playbook and be the leader for that defense. So I think with a year under his belt and all, God willing, healthy, Tremaine, he's going to make the difference in this defense, you know, in terms of how they attack every game. You look at a guy like Fred Warner on San Francisco, you know, like the guy plays every snap. He never comes off the field. And that's huge for that defense. It's huge. Like you don't have to change too much depending on what that offense is coming out with, because that guy can cover a wide receiver if he has to, and he can plug a hole at the same time. So that's what we need from Edmonds in order for this defense to take that next step.
Yeah, and definitely live up to the money that he's getting.
We need that. because Roquan, who we let go, is over there as one of maybe the second best linebacker in the league behind Fred Warner.
Yeah.
So we need him to step up. I agree.
Yeah, without question, DJ. Hey, fellas, this has been great. Don't forget, friends, Chicago Sports Podcast. Check us out throughout the week. Like us on YouTube. Subscribe so you do not miss a single episode of the passionate voice of the Chicago sports fan, CSP. Fellas, before we call it a night, let's really quickly, as the second half of the Major League Baseball season officially begins tonight, post All-Star game, let's talk Cubs Sox really quick. This segment of Chicago Sports Podcast is brought to you by our newest sponsor, guys, Elite Icons Framing and Memorabilia. Friends, make your sports memories timeless with Elite Icons. Visit them at info@eliteicons.biz or give them a call at 1-630-863-0647. Brandon Trackside, you've been seeing keeping the Cubby faith all season long through all the ups and the downs, through the bullpen meltdowns and offense going into a coma for weeks at a time. This is Holder full-time Trex, without question. Cubs opened up the second half of the season with a 5-2 loss to the Diamondbacks this afternoon. Trex, they're 47-52 and in last place in the National League Central. And it's team president Jed Hoyer, who I know you're fed up with, isn't sure whether his teams will be buyers or sellers at the July 30th trade deadline. Want to get your thoughts, Trex. Call it right here. Will the Cubs hold? When I say hold, will they hold as a playoff contender and go for it with Justin Steele and Shota Imanaga fronting a elite starting rotation, or will this Cubs team fold in the second half under the weight of this punchless offense that managed just 2 runs today?
I think we're going to see up and down with it, and it's going to we're going to pull our hair out like we have this year, because going into, we were really excited. What was it, 5-2 you just said, and all of that, and it looked great and promising and whatnot. And and then you got Kyle coming back. Eat your heart out, fellas, because you guys wanted to ship him out of Chicago, and he come in the last 2 games. He's been pitching a lot, lights out. So I'm excited to see that journeyman do his due diligence. So I don't like to say I told you so, but this one, I told you so. So I mean, seriously, man, and then we had a pitcher, we had a gem in the, the All-Star. That was cool, whatever. So I think we're going to give our lumps, but I think we're going to take a lot too. And I just wish we were like the Brewers, where, they get a new coach in there and they just keep rolling. I am, a little bit jealous. I really thought that it wasn't so much that we took their coach and he came, over with us. But the fact that you lose a guy like that, I felt like they would feel the same way we did when we lost Joe. When we lost Joe Madden, it stung, and you could feel the impact right away. And they just keep rolling, bro. They just keep rolling over there,
They are incredible. Yeah, they're doing it with a team devoid of stars right now. Hey, DJ, you call it. You hear the rumors every day, Dustin. Some the Cubs are going all in. They're going after Vladimir Guerrero. They're going after the closure that they need. Then you hear that they're going to listen to offers for Nico Horner or Cody Bellinger. Call it right now, DJ. Will this team be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline on July 30th?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't follow baseball. Baseball's lost me over the years. It's kind of been a boring sport. It's gotten worse, honestly, through the years. But I'll say this, looking at where they're at in their standings and knowing, Hoyer, I feel like nothing's gonna happen. But if I feel like it's just gonna be they're so close. They're close enough to where they can make they're 4.5 games back from potentially being in playoff contention for that wild card spot, right? But they're 9 games back of the Central. So it's they're close enough to where they can justify standing pat and feel okay about it. You know what I'm saying? So it's I would love for them to be buyers. I would love for them to let go of some of their some of the stuff they have in their farm system to get a couple of impact players on either in pitching or in batting. But that's just my preference. I don't think that's what will happen.
Yeah, Brandon Trex DJ brings up a great point. This is the number 2 farm system in baseball. The Cubs have the prospects to get the guys to put them over the hump. And the NL wildcard is so jumbled. You got to think that's not going to take a lot of wins to get to the playoffs. from your perspective, how many wins will it take the Cubs to book a Blue October? I mean, they're right there. And should they, take a look at maybe moving some of these elite high-end prospects to see if they can jumpstart the rebuilding process with a playoff berth for 2024?
I think we have enough film, enough study, enough time with everybody that's here, with the exception of guys that could be knocking on the door. I think, what do we have? A pitcher that's almost here, who's doing really good.
Yeah, Cade Horton.
Yeah. So I think there's some of that, and I think council might be, kind of looking at some of that and whatnot in order to make some decisions. And maybe that's what Jed is talking about when he said that we'll find it in-house. I'm hoping. If not, I think he needs. Maybe he's, maybe he's delusional. I don't know.
You wonder these days.
What do you think? What do you think, Cleet?
Well, here's the thing. I think that there's so much parity in the National League. I think 83 wins can actually get you that third wild card. So that's 83 and
really?
7. Yeah, that's I can't see the Mets running away with this thing, guys. I see the Pirates. The Pirates are my sleeper team. I'm worried about them because they've got Paul Skeens. They've got the most electrifying rookie pitcher in baseball in a few years. And I think that they've got the offense where they'll be a contender. But 83 wins, that's 5 games over 500 if I do my math. No, mathematics, 4 games over 500. That's all it takes. That should be enough for a team with all this talent, with a $25 million shortstop and Nico Horner hitting 200, with Cody Bellinger, the $30 million center fielder, who just can't go to that next level, with the bullpen, which I have to admit has been better in July. There's no reason. I mean, this team just swept the Baltimore Orioles in Baltimore, guys. It's mind-boggling why they can't put some consistency and go on a run here. All right, guys, let's go to the other side of town. As DJ said, this is why Chicago baseball fans are kind of losing their passion. The great Cliff Victoria says, yeah, they aren't very exciting this year, too. And also, our good friend Ty and Spy Podcast, the White Sox have been putting their fans through the ringer. They lost to the Royals tonight, as our great friend Cheryl Scoreboard Childers let us know. They are now 72 losses on the season, on pace tracks to obliterate the single season MLB loss record. Will it happen? Is this team destined to have its own place in baseball infamy with the most losses in 162 game season?
We need something to root for.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
that's it. You hate the
Hey, Don Burr, like when we rooted for you guys to go winless. Hey, the Detroit Lions, you lazy bum.
Yeah. Trax, are the Sox just going to keep it going? Are they going to just fire sell anything they can move next week? I mean, are we going to see Garrett Crochet move out of town? Are we going to see Luis Robert Jr. finally get moved? I mean, are we going to see Tommy Pham gone? Eric Fede? I mean, are they just going to tear this down to the very framework of a AAA ball club, which is what they are right now?
Bro, I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm not even a Sox fan. Outside, I think I'd be more spirited if they got rid of the campfire shake, and I don't know if I'll ever try it, but I'm just a big fan of it, I might try it at my own house or have somebody recreate it at, Serendipity Ice Cream Parlor, where it's always summertime at Serendipity. But the thing about it is, though, is like if they get rid of Crochet, dude, that is like ridiculous, man, because that's a young gun. And there are people right now that I talk to, bro. They are buying the MLB package just to keep up with Cease. Okay.
Yeah.
And those people are still butthurt over watching one of their top pitchers go out east. So I mean, it's how many times are you going to do this to this?
Chris Sale all over again, Trax.
Yeah, it's very hurtful. They've got to.
You feel for it because the nothing exemplifies the Chicago spirit for me than like Southsiders. True blue White Sox fans who've been through the ringer time and time again. They've got an 88-year-old senile owner who doesn't want to invest anything in this team, and they definitely deserve better. And My gut feeling is they're going to break the record, guys. And it's for everything those fans have been through the last 12 months. You hate to see them go through that, but it seems like it's definitely their destiny. Hey, friends, we cannot thank you enough. This has been so much fun. You have been watching the voice of the Chicago sports fan, the fastest growing sports podcast in Chicago. Brandon Trax, I at Chicago Sports Podcast. Trax just 2 weeks away, friends. Do not forget, Trax will be live in Canton covering the Hall of Fame induction weekend as the Bears legend Steve Mongo McMichael, the Windy City Flyer Devin Hester, and Julius Peppers take their rightful place in the NFL's House of Legends. Be sure to follow Trax in a couple weeks. Boy, that's going to be right around the corner, Trax. So, fellas, before we let you go, what's on the docket for the weekend?
I'm gonna watch a little bit of the Sky and see what's going on with them. I've been meaning to ask you about the Sky cleat because and DJ, I see you chiming in there and keeping a watchful eye, and it's something that I'll be honest with you guys. I mean, I have a daughter, so I've always kind of taken peeks at this or that, but never the Sky has been too interesting to me until now. I'm really excited about the whole thing and having a new team to check out or whatever. But I'm going to keep a little bit of eye on that. I'm going to keep a little eye on the Cubs, see what's going, what's what, and see if there's any more nuggets that kind of cascade down from the whole training camp stuff. Maybe some stuff comes out from our peers, from other pods and stuff like that. Just kind of, sit back, relax, and kind of be more of like a consumer instead of a producer, and then we'll produce, come Monday.
Yep. Sounds like a plan. DJ, what you got going on?
I'm going to watch a little bit of the sky and kind of decide what the clouds look like up there, what kind of shapes they are.
Oh, I've seen some shapes that give me trouble.
I'm moving this weekend, gentlemen. Bought a house, so I'm in the process of that. So, that's most of my time is right now, and the rest of the weekend just moving things from this place to the next place, trying to get set up at our new home. Hey, real quick, Cliff, there was a gentleman in here, Jack Kenna, who was asking, begging for us to answer. Please answer my question about, and it's a little off topic, but you want to do him a favor. He was asking about what went wrong. He's a Raiders fan. He wants to know what went wrong with Getsy and Fields because obviously he's got Getsy now as the offensive coordinator. And pretty concerned about that. Trax, do you have thoughts on that in terms of what went wrong between Getsy and Fields so we can answer for Jack Kenna?
I think the answer with that is oh man, he's really testing me right now. I'm trying to be a good boy. But I will say this. If there is one silver lining for the, silver and black, it's that you had two guys that were in a position in the NFL for the first time. And sometimes you need the elder statesman in there to help guide you. So maybe if there's some of that over in Oakland, then they can get, and also the newness at some point wears off and everything, and the fallout, it becomes a thing of the past because he moved over to Pittsburgh. If he were to come, over to Oakland or Las Vegas or wherever the hell you guys move next is what I'm getting at, is like, maybe because that's not his first stop, he'll get a clear head and be able to, and by then Getsy will have, some more repetitions under his belt and stuff. So it could work out. You know what I mean? It's a possibility. That's kind of like my silver lining. Hopefully that helps you.
Yeah. If he learns how to win games in the fourth quarter, I think anything's possible for you. But
I just think the one thing you hope you learn, like Trax was saying, is how to properly use the player and not try to fit a player into a scheme. He wanted Fields to work in his scheme versus, making his scheme around Fields. So hopefully he's learned that lesson and he's going to be more willing to adjust for your Raiders. Not like you guys have a quarterback anyway, so I don't think you got to worry about it. To be
Exactly. You got to do what you can and what you have. Hey, DJ, congratulations on the new house. Best of luck, my friend, moving this weekend. Just protect those toes. I can tell you from experience. Protect those toes while you're moving, my friend.
So don't move in sandals, you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay.
Steel toe is the way to go. Friends, you have been watching Chicago Sports Podcast, Monsters of the Madhouse, the voice of the Chicago sports fans. Thank you for joining us, all of our great friends and family, Cliff, Don, Ant Mass, Jay Grizz, everybody chiming in with great stuff in the chat room tonight. Don't forget, we'll be back here with you Monday night for another great edition of CSP. So until we meet again, friends, have yourself a great weekend and keep living your life like the Hall of Famer Steve Mongo McMichael with everything you've got. This has been Chicago Sports Podcast, Monsters of the Madhouse. Good night, everybody.
Bird out.